99-cent rental.
This is 99 Cent Rental. I'm your host, Brian White, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Dave. Hey, Dave, how you doing over there?
Oh, I'm okay. Yesterday was record store.
It was.
I'm a fan of the musics, and I sometimes feel like the capitalist world, capitalism, if you will, is conspiring against me to exploit my what you might call poor financial management skills.
They just keep throwing stuff at you that you're like, oh shit, now, well, I gotta buy that now.
Yeah, and like I'm so anxious about the rest of the world that I'm just like, God, I just will sit here and be like, I'm gonna go buy more stuff.
You're just living in the moment.
And then I'm like, I really should not be buying more stuff living in the moment while the world is falling apart. And
you should be buying bunker spaghetti for the end times.
Oh, I was thinking I'd buy gold, buy silver bars and bury them under a big T.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, I don't know. I live vicariously through you. You'll show me some new thing that you bought, and I'm always like, God damn, man. I'd like to have that. I'd like to own that as well.
Well, I don't have children, and that is where your money goes.
That is where literally all of my money goes. I do my best to provide them with all the opportunities that I did not have, and they do not appreciate any of it.
God, these fucking jerks.
So I want to tell you a weird story that happened to me yesterday. So I'm at work, and much to my dismay, they were like, "Hey, we got too many people, so we're gonna have you in the lot today." Meaning, I'm gonna go out and collect grocery carts, carriages.
Yes.
It snowed for about half the time I was out there. I was cold, I was wet, I was miserable, and then something amazing happened. A customer who I recognize, who I see quite often, who recognized me, came up to me in a bit of a panic. Not a panic, but he was a little agitated. And he said, he's this little old guy, and he's like, he points to this car, and he goes, "That guy over there, that Italian man over there."
Oh, never like that. That's never a good sign.
No. This gets so fucking weird. He said he rolled down his window and he asked me how to get to Boston. So I told him, and then he pulled out all these leather jackets from the back of his car and asked me if I wanted to buy an Italian leather jacket for $800. It's like, who has that kind of money? And then when I said I don't have that kind of money, he said, well, there's a bank right over there. So I have him pointed out, and sure enough, he points to this car like at the back of the lot with a guy sitting in it. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna tell somebody. I'll get rid of this guy. Don't worry about it. Because I think also I'm bored, I'm miserable, I'm looking for a little action. And so I wander over to the car, and I'm kind of like making sure, I'm like peering ahead to make sure that I'm not just about to like accost some dude. And as the guy sees me coming, and he puts his window down, and he goes, and I go, hey, can I help you? You need anything over here? And he, and I could see the coats in the back of his car, but he's just sitting there like
fine Italian leather. You know it when you see it.
Yeah. And he's just sitting there eating a hamburger, and he speaks to me, and he's like, nope, just eating my lunch. And I was like, I was like, you're eating your lunch? He's like, yeah, I work over at Walmart and I'm eating it here. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what? So, no hint of Italianness, by the way. Not a hint.
Well,
So eventually I kind of like talk my way away from it. I was like, all right, well, I'm just, checking on you. You've been here for a while, and I thought you might need some help. And so I walk away, and halfway back to the parking lot, I turn around and I just kind of look at him. And then I walk back to the store, and I stand there on the sidewalk watching him, and he starts his car and he drives away. And so I tell a few people about that, and they're like, oh, that's really weird. And so today that old guy came back, and I'm talking to him, and I said, how did you know that he was Italian? Like, what was it about him that said Italian to you? And he goes, he had an accent. And I was like, what? So this guy put on a fake accent and spun a tale about his father, who was a captain in the Italian military. Now, this guy was a certain age in this car, which would have made his father an officer in the Italian military on the wrong side of history. So
nice.
I put that aside. But so I told the guy, I was like, when I spoke to him, he just talked like us, like he didn't have an accent or anything. And he's like, yeah, he was, and he started to do a Super Mario Brothers impression for me. And I was like, nope, none of that happened. So some guy put on like a whole character just to sell jackets to an old man. It was incredible.
On the one hand, you hate to see someone trying to exploit old people and rip them off. On the other hand, you gotta give the guy some credit for coming up with this. Like, Mamma mia, I gotta get rid of all of the coats.
I know. What a weird contrivance. I was amazed. That sort of thing only used to ever happen to me when I was on drugs. I was so pleased to have this kind of thing just sort of happen to me in the middle of the day.
Oh, that shit happens to me every fucking day. Go outside.
You just fake Italian men just accost you and try to sell you stuff?
No, people are trying to sell you weird shit all the time. It used to be worse when I worked downtown, but
it used to happen. It used to actually happen like quite often in the 90s. I can't tell you how many times like I would go like get out at Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. Or once I went to the bank and a guy was like, "Hey, you want to buy some speakers?" And I was like, "No, what?"
Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody's selling shit. Everybody out there hustling.
Like somebody would be like, "Hey, you want these Oakley glasses?" Like I'm like, those are not Oakley glasses. They certainly are not Oakley glasses for $20, my good man.
Yeah. It's never good.
No, that was so fucking weird. It was so fucking weird. So funny. I'm so glad it happened. I'm glad that the guy didn't, fall for it and buy the jackets, though.
Yeah, that would have made that story. That would have been a sad story.
I would have been super bummed by that. But
we had sad times now.
Yep. Oh, but anyways, movies, right?
Talking about.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to someone who never had the experience what a trip to the video store was like back in the day. The shelves were choked with absolutely bizarre crap, just like tonight's movie, made on tiny budgets. This one, not so much. Completely divorced from any recognizable reality, and it was the best. And we intend to talk about every one of them. Before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod. And Dave's over there at That Werewolf. I invite you to join us in our little experiment over there. It's fun. We have a good time. And if you don't know, we have another show called Bring Me the Axe, our latest episode covering Peter Weir's stunning Picnic at Hanging Rock, a movie like exquisite laundry.
Yes.
Strewn about the Eden-like landscape like exquisite laundry.
Just quoting my girl Sheila.
It's out now. And we'll be back next week with a look at the Swedish torment of Ingmar Bergman's Hour of the Wolf.
I'm so classy.
It's the classiest fucking month. We should make this a thing. Like April is just the month when we roll out like the unexpected art movies. But 99 Cent Rental, we balance it all out with incredibly stupid shit.
I love an art movie.
That's a good one, man. That's a really good one. You can also contact us at 99centrentalpod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a cheesy movie that you love and would like to hear us give it the business. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod. Do you think I'm spooky? We've also got our monthly Bring Me the Axe Millennium Edition bonus episode, in which we look at a modern horror movie. Lake Mungo is out now, dovetails neatly into our episode about Picnic at Hanging Rock. And then coming up in the first of the month, we've got a look at not an art film.
Look, it was a bad choice, all right?
Not a stunning picture at all. The incredibly dumb House of Wax from 2005.
They can't all be gems, okay?
I think we made the best of a bad situation with that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. There's also my bi-weekly DJ show, Radio Free Haddonfield. On the weeks when Do You Think I'm Spooky is off, you can expect a surprising mixtape of everything from rock to disco to punk over there. Our latest episode is The Dave Tapes Volume 2. Oh, yeah. This one is not by me, it's by Dave. And it's a pretty good one. It's all queens and divas and prima donnas.
Hell yeah.
It's a hell of a list. That was a really good list. Yep. And all Patreon subscribers, even the free tier, get access to our Discord server. Paying members get access to additional channels, voice and video chats, and the watch party options. We watched American Ninja on Friday night, and it was just a couple of us.
How'd it go? Did you guys have fun?
Pretty good. It's me, and I wish I knew how to pronounce his name. It's Usunaro.
Yeah, well,
maybe.
I hope you didn't blow it.
I don't even know what your real name is, but you're always there, and I appreciate you hanging with me. Dude's got some prime riffs.
Well, I watched the Agfa mystery mixtape, and was fucking hilarious.
Oh, I can't wait for that to arrive. It feels like I've been waiting forever for it.
It's really good.
Yep. Once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxpod. And there's an invite link for a Discord server in the show notes. So if you just want to pop in there, do it. Click it. Also, there's a link in the show notes for merch. We've got t-shirts. We got t-shirts. We got 99-cent rental t-shirts. We got Bring Me the Axe t-shirts. And I've seen the rough draft of the new one. Ooh, you're going to want it. You're going to love it. Yeah, you're going to love it. It asks an age-old question.
I'm pretty proud of it.
Yep. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube now. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So hop to it.
Tell me your favorite artsy horror film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We're asking you nicely. It costs you nothing. And we appreciate it like crazy. I've seen it. There's a couple of new reviews up, and they're very nice. I appreciate them. Yep. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor. Give the episode a like. Leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. Just want to get that all out of the way right at the top of the show because we're going to give you a taste. Oh, it's so sneaky. You never see it coming. It sneaks up on you.
It's like vinegar.
Here's what we're watching. It's a mark of quality right there.
Mm-hmm.
For 2,000 years, the sacred art of the ninja has been guarded in the East.
Remember the day I found you.
Now, it has come to the West.
Remember what is hidden deep in your mind.
He is the only soldier.
Date of birth unknown.
The only American.
Who is he?
Who is capable of defeating the secret Black Star Army. The mission to hijack a U.S. military arsenal.
Your destiny, my son, awaits you.
The adventure. The confrontation. The code.
I will honor the code, Father.
The invasion. The final hour. The deadliest art of the Orient is now in the hands of an American.
Where it belongs.
American ninja.
God, good goddamn. Listen, that trailer, it really oversells it, I think. It makes it seem like it has a coherent plot.
Man, oh, dude, at a certain point, this movie kind of gives up.
Oh, yeah, no, like it's like halfway through there, like the crates and the stolen,
They're super cagey about like what's being stolen from this military base. Like what could possibly be stolen from a military base?
And then you find out at the end and it's like, oh, okay, I guess, sure, why not?
There's also the sort of the origin story of Private Joe Armstrong, which is like it looms so largely over this movie because he's this like American soldier with like fucking amnesia, like he doesn't really know his past.
But they don't lean into that.
And then they get to a point where they're like, fuck it, he's like, I guess his dad's like Yoda or something like that, and they don't even. And you come out the other side of his origin story with more questions than you started with.
Yeah. He found him on a beach or something. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
It's so fucking dumb. And that, oh, Jesus H. Canon could cut a fucking trailer.
Yeah. I would say that's probably what they were best at doing.
Well, yeah. Because, oh my God.
That and the poster.
Yeah. These guys were much better marketers than filmmakers. But
yeah, it's the Fabrizio De Angelis school of filmmaking.
Yep. Oh, fuck yeah. American Ninja. This, if you were not a kid in the 80s, it is really, really hard to articulate, particularly how hot ninja shit was.
Oh, yeah. No, you could just fucking put, a throwing star in anyone or anything's hand and like, 80% of American boys were like, that, I need that right now. Get me that one. That one, the right one with the ninja star.
Yeah, when we first moved up here and like we went to dad would occasionally take us to that fucking flea market that was up in Newington by the mall.
I was just talking about that the other day.
I think about it all the time because that flea market ruled. There were like there was a couple of people selling comic books who I robbed blind. There were people selling like really awesome records. I bought a couple of like some like cassettes off of them and shit. But there was always a table with like a massive variety of ninja stars, and they would sell to every 11-year-old who came up to their table.
You could go to a flea market today and find a very similar table. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah. I went to a fucking army surplus store not that long ago. And among the pants and shit was a large variety of throwing knives and throwing stars and swords.
And if you knew the secret password, he would also show you all the Nazi shit.
He would pull the blanket aside, and I could buy all the swastika shit I wanted.
Yeah, that's some real terrifying shit. Look, if you become the kind of person who keeps like samurai swords on the wall, I'm out. That is where I'm drawing the line.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Absolutely enormous. And it just dovetailed neatly into the late 80s when like the rest of like real ninja stuff kind of became a little passe, but Ninja Turtle stuff. Well,
see, that's the thing is that the Ninja Turtles, if they were anything else turtles, it would not have happened the way it did.
Yeah. Cause like their appearance coincides almost perfectly with the release of like all of the ninja movies that were happening. Cause like there's basically two waves and they all kind of happen just a couple of years apart. There's like the early wave and it's all canon stuff.
Yeah. Well, because we should say up top, ninja's not really so much a thing.
I want to save, I was originally, when I started writing this script, I was going to spend a lot of time talking about like where ninjas came from and how they sort of became a part of like the Japanese cultural imagination. And then it sort of crossed the ocean and became kind of a part of ours. But I want to save that like in case we ever do like Shinobi no Mono, because yeah, you're right. Ninjas as depicted in movies like this, not real. There were guerrilla fighters and like saboteurs and stuff like that who are called shinobi, which is like, I don't know, like hidden people or something like that. And it's a down and dirty, like nasty, dishonorable thing. Like if you were one of those people, like you did not want that to be known about yourself because it was like a real honor society there. And that shit is dishonorable, but it gets things done. Yeah. But there are ninja movies in Japan going all the way back to the 20s, like in the silent film at the dawn of their film industry. But eventually like samurai, chambara, jidageki kind of become the sort of national mood, and they become much more popular, obviously. But here in America, who gives a fuck? Throw a ninja suit on anything, and we will watch that shit. We will buy it. Oh man, it's so goddamn good. So early canon. 1981, I think, is when Enter the Ninja comes out, which is the first American ninja movie where it puts Franco Nero in a ninja suit, and he is just a pudgy, kind of drunk.
Yeah, it's Franco Nero. I don't know what, like, if he fell on hard times or something. Because Franco Nero, he's a good-looking guy. I mean, he's still a good-looking guy. He's he's quite old, but he when he was young. Stunning man. 1981, maybe not his best year.
Right. Lots of gin, I suspect.
Because I wonder if like he was just like whatever we're doing here in Italy. It was like I don't want to do that to him. I can't do that to him. He didn't want
it's like selling jackets out of a car.
Yeah, right? I can't do that. He didn't want any part of that because he was like, I this stuff is all garbage now. I got some self-respect. You know what I'm going to go do? I met these guys starting a new company called Canon. I'm going to go work for them.
These two Israeli guys who are just so enthusiastic.
Really enthusiastic.
Yeah. And so what comes of that is he just kind of goes away. But Sho Kosugi becomes their early star, and Sho Kosugi becomes like synonymous with Western-made ninja movies until like now. Like he was even doing it in the 90s. They made what was it? Now I can't even remember the name of it. It was the PlayStation Ninja game where all of the motion capture was done with Sho Kosugi. But yeah, like that dude, Mr. Ninja. But then things cool a little bit. Yeah, because it turns out it's not much of an actor. Not much of an actor. No. Great martial artist. Yep. But yeah, it's hard to float an entire movie on that.
I mean, it didn't stop them with the rest of their movies.
This is a solid.
We have them to thank for Dolph Lundgren.
Touche. But then like 84 rolls around. Ninja 3 The Domination comes out, and it just breathes new life into this whole thing. And Sam Furstenberg, who I believe directed that movie, basically went back to them and Golan and Globus were like, look, everybody loves ninjas, but they don't like chick ninjas. So like make it like a dude. And he's like, say less. And
he's like, you hating ladies? I'm into that.
Yeah. So 1985 rolls around, year of our Lord.
Oh, good Lord.
So here are some other ninja movies. I believe 85 was kind of like the peak.
This feels like peak ninja.
This peaks because here's Jesus Christ. Here's other ninja movies released in 1985. Ninja Terminator, which is a Godfrey Ho one. Most ninja movies released after 1985 are Godfrey Ho movies.
Are they all put out by Golden Harvest?
Pretty much.
Nice.
Pray for Death came out, which is a Sho Kosugi movie. Nine Deaths of the Ninja came out, which is also a Sho Kosugi ninja movie. But that one's more of a spoof. It's real bad. It's a real bad one. Ninja Thunderbolt came out. And closing out 1985, Ninja Turf came out.
Now, all of those movies sound god-awful.
Yeah. Pray for Death's not bad. The Nine Deaths of the Ninja is very, very, very silly.
I will say, here are some other movies that this one, because those didn't really make into theaters. They made it maybe just like some grindhouses.
Oh, yeah. Well, I specifically remember seeing the Nine Deaths of the Ninja advertised in the Boston Globe, because I saw that and I was like, ninjas?
Oh, yeah. You could probably gone down to the Pilgrim and seen shit like that. But American Ninja went up against like actual big movies. Like,
it got a theatrical release, and it made a shitload of money.
It made like
$10 million on a $1 million budget.
Yeah. So, but it's going up against Rambo 2.
Yep.
Teen Wolf, Back to the Future. Like this is a.
Oh, it wasn't a summer movie. I completely failed to look up that detail.
It came out August.
All right.
Yeah. So like it went up against these, like, so it paled in comparison. Rambo 2 pulled in like $144 million.
Oh yeah. That was one of the biggest movies of the 1980s, you know?
Yeah. So it's like, when it comes to other shit that it was up against, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Counted for nothing. But this was Cannon's, I think, best year.
Right. Because next year, this is kind of also like, this is peak Ninja. This is also, I believe, peak Cannon, because 1986 is sort of the tipping point.
That's
for
when
them.
it starts to go downhill, because that's when you start to
fly way too close to the sun.
Yep.
There's Superman 4. There's
Spider-Man.
The Spider-Man fiasco.
That's when they start working on Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe, yeah. Like they're starting to. It becomes like a Ponzi scheme.
Yep.
Where they're just paying for their own movies.
It's a bit of a beat the bank scenario where you're like, I'm writing checks and hoping I can get the money in there.
Yeah, they're paying for their own movies for investments on other movies, and they're like splitting their budgets. Superman 4 had like a massive budget initially it was sort of famously split to pay for 4 other movies, and the result was, rotten to the core. Just a fucking horrible movie through and through.
That's what happens when you put Faye Dunaway in a movie.
Oh, wait, she's in Supergirl.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Which is also pretty bad.
Yeah.
But oh boy, yeah. Let's talk about cast and crew, shall we?
Okay.
All right. The director is Sam Furstenberg, who's one of the handful of Israeli directors that made 1 million movies for Golan and Globus during their fertile period, the mid-'80s. He was the prime mover behind the 80s wave of ninja fever, having directed Sho Kosugi and Revenge of the Ninja, the utterly bugfuck Ninja 3, The Domination. Not to mention the sort of sideways sequel to American Ninja, American Samurai. He also directed this one and the sequel, and if 4 ninja movies between 1983 and 1986 wasn't enough, you also have him to thank for Breakin' 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
The one and the same. This and Breaking 2 are his favorite projects. Of this movie, he said, "It has a special quality of innocent, true friendship, love, and youthful idealism."
Beautiful. I love it.
I love the way these Israeli guys talk about their movies.
Yeah, he's like, it's like neon and kissing in the rain and trains and cars.
Because Menachem Golan had some really funny comments about our next subject, Michael Dudikoff. So when Chuck Norris passed on this one, Golan and Globus did open auditions for the role. And
now, do you know why? Do you know why Chuck Norris passed on this one?
Because he had to wear a mask.
Can you imagine being so narcissistic that you can't cover up that face?
Michael Dudikoff wears the ninja hood for 10 minutes in this movie.
Yeah. Also, Chuck Norris is fucking ugly, and he always has been. And that is an indisputable fact.
I have a bold thing to say here. Michael Dudikoff is a handsome gentleman.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy. He's probably also not a huge sack of shit like Chuck Norris is.
No, and I actually have a little thing that makes me think that the dude might be a fairly okay guy. So
okay, the Dudikoff.
Yeah, they auditioned, allegedly, I've seen the number from between 400 and 2,000 guys.
Okay, calm down.
For Dudikoff was their pick. I get the feeling that they held open auditions and he was like the first guy to come in and they were like, that guy looks fucking hot as hell.
Yeah, they wanted they said they wanted a James Dean type, like a real chip on your shoulder.
That's my comment about him is Menachem Golan told everybody that like he's gonna be the next James Dean, and it's like, okay, pump the brakes, my guy.
Yeah, the thing about James Dean, he was hot and he could act.
I can kind of see it though, because he does have like movie star looks.
I mean, he's got a scowl and a real sourpuss. I'll give him that.
Jesus Christ, he must have practiced that shit in a mirror, because he spends 45 minutes just ignoring people and staring off into the middle distance like he has a stomach ache.
Yeah, well, he said that. Apparently, he said he had malaria when they filmed because they filmed this in the Philippines.
In the Philippines, yeah.
Not that that's like a hotbed of malaria, but like it's you could
but I mean,
treatment was probably a little bit less.
It's a fucking jungle climate, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, he looks like that. I pointed this out when we were watching it the other night. Is that I think he looks like that actor Austin Butler.
Who's that? What's that?
He played Elvis in the last Elvis movie. I'm trying to think of what else he was in.
Look, if it wasn't Italian or made in the 1970s or 80s, I've probably never seen him.
Okay, probably not. He's a new guy. He's a handsome fella, and he looks like Michael Dudikoff.
I think I vaguely know who he is.
Yeah. Prior to the starring spot, he'd been appearing on TV since 1979, stuff like Dallas and Happy Days. But following this movie, he had his pick of Cannon Film action movies where he thrived. His career continued on that path to this day, where he continues to appear in low-budget genre garbage. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's like 5 of these movies. There's this movie, and I believe there's 3 or 4 sequels.
Oh, there's 3 sequels.
So when they make part 2 like almost immediately after this, and then they're going to make, and I'll talk about why, because what ends up happening is they're shooting these movies in the Philippines, and then the political situation in the Philippines changes, and they're no longer welcome there, and so they're like, we're going to make American Ninja 3, are you down? And he looked at like the shooting schedule and was like, no, you're shooting this in South Africa.
The second one is in South Africa too.
Oh fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But he became like a big like anti-apartheid guy. Like he's not going to play Sun City.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so he was like, no, I'm not going to be in this shit. I don't want to be that. And like, good for him, because that shit was heinous. Yeah. You think you have a general sense that apartheid was bad. You have no fucking idea.
Oh, I mean, I think you mean universally.
The listener, I have a feeling that you have a fairly solid understanding of how fucking heinous things in South Africa and the surrounding nations were.
Yeah. They had a couple other casting choices that they wanted for this character, though, and I thought they were kind of funny. Okay. So one of them was Steve McQueen's son, Chad McQueen, who first of all, I didn't even know that Steve McQueen had a son, let alone one named Chad McQueen. Also, Steve McQueen, really good looking guy. Chad McQueen, not so much.
So it's like the Virgin McQueen and the Chad McQueen.
Yeah. So Chad McQueen, he had been in Karate Kid the year before.
Who was he?
He's like one of Johnny's.
He's one of the goons.
Yeah.
Oh, because I watched that Cobra Kai, and they brought all of those guys back. So I wonder if he's in there.
He died a couple years ago.
Yeah, because that's actually a part of Cobra Kai. The show is that I had no idea that was him. Yeah.
Okay.
He's the put him in a body bag guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wanted him, but he was I don't know, he wanted too much money, or it didn't work for whatever reason. The other guy they wanted was Kurt McKinney, who I had never heard the name, but he's been in he was in a bunch of like karate movies at the time.
Okay.
So he was
probably like a martial artist.
Yeah, he said some classics like No Retreat, No Surrender.
Oh yeah.
The Last Kumite.
Okay.
One episode of Alf. And a lot of Guiding Light.
That's great.
He's actually worked consistently. So he's been in it the whole. He's been working since then. But
that's fucking fantastic.
he was the other one that didn't win. Oh, so some of the other movies they put out that Canon put out. So this, like I said, this was a record year for them. Movies that like I didn't know were big. So Breakin' and Breakin' 2, I knew were big.
Yeah.
Fool for Love, which was a Robert Altman movie.
No shit. I know that they would occasionally, those guys would make,
It won 3 Oscars.
Yeah, there is a, okay, so watch the documentary Electric Boogaloo, The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films. It's first of all, it's fucking fantastic. Mark Hartley's documentaries are so much fun, but that one will blow your mind because like those guys, once they started to kind of like build a reputation, they also kind of gained a reputation for being like, we want serious filmmakers and we will let you do whatever the fuck you want to do. We'll just throw money at it. And so like real like filmmakers came to them and made good movies for them.
Yeah, one time. And then
and then they blew it.
Right. But the other one that was big that I didn't realize was Runaway Train.
Runaway Train is great.
It's like it was
so
a huge movie. I had no idea it was. I like it. It's pretty good. It's got a great soundtrack.
It's fucking fantastic. It's exciting. It's a surprisingly awesome movie,
and it did really well.
Yeah,
those all helped to lift this one off the ground.
That's great. Yeah. What is it? Rising tide lifts all boats.
That's right. Lifts Dudikoff's boats.
Coming up next, we got Steve James, who's a stuntman turned actor, and this dude got around.
Love him.
He's my favorite character in the movie.
He's the best part of this entire movie.
Yes, he is. From the mid-'70s to the early 80s, he appeared in a ton of productions based around New York. He's John Eastland's buddy who gets paralyzed in The Exterminator. He's a baseball fury. He was one of the baseball furies. Yeah. He's in The Wiz. He's in Vigilante.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he falls in with Cannon, he ends up in a lot of their trashy action fare with Dudikoff and Chuck Norris, and it's easy to see why. He is far and away the most magnetic character in the movie, and I'd watch an entire movie just about Jackson.
Yeah, he's charismatic. He's like built like a brick shit house. Like,
oh my God. At the end, when like his shirt comes off, it's like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah, he is an action star through and through. When what this movie needs is an action star, and it doesn't actually have one.
I think Dudikoff carries it, but like I
don't know.
He was an actor. He wasn't a stunt guy, but I think he did all right.
He's also in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Yes, he is. Yeah. He's in a lot of shit.
Yeah, he's like a kind of like he's like a budget Fred Williamson.
Yeah, I give you
and like
that.
Fred Williamson, huge piece of shit. So I'm gonna take Steve James.
Right. Yeah, he's fucking fantastic. And rounding it out is Tadashi Yamashita, who plays the Black Star Ninja. He's the bad guy. And he was one of many, many very accomplished martial artists on this production. He's also one of the many Bruce Lee clones in the 70s cycle of Bruce-sploitation movies. He was in a movie called Soul of Bruce Lee when he used to act under the name Bronson Lee.
Okay, good choice.
Yeah. And he was also picked up as a stuntman and cast member in the early ninja movie with Chuck Norris, The Octagon. And then again in 85, the utterly preposterous Gymkata, which is
Gymkata's bad.
It is fucking foul. It is unbelievably bad. It promises ninjas and does not deliver. But what you get is a man who got snubbed because the U.S. boycotted the 1980 Olympics and wants you to believe that gymnastics is a deadly art. It just requires pommel horses and parallel bars to be
Gymnastics people went on to do a lot of acting, which I think is weird. I was watching something the other day where they had people,
if you are good at gymnastics and you are a dancer or a martial artist, it's like the golden path to being a stuntman at Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, and also like, I mean, these people were like stars because all they had to do was like take their shirt off and they are nothing but muscle.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's offensive.
Oh yeah. There was a kid who when my daughter did gymnastics in this place, there was a kid who was like, I don't know, like maybe 14 or something like that. It was on the sort of boys competitive team. And like, he would occasionally like he would take his shirt off and just to kind of like, I don't know, fucking do his thing. And it's like 14-year-old, like built like Bruce Lee. I was like, how the fuck is that even possible?
I hate when they're younger than that and you're like, oh, it looks creepy.
It was so weird, but like,
it's like AI made this.
How is that possible? But yeah.
Well, they're all in there. You just got to work them.
Yeah, it's just the necessity of that sport just builds you the fuck out.
Yeah, I watched some garbage the other day that had a gymnast as the star. I can't remember what it was. It was American Rickshaw.
Okay.
It's not a good movie. I mean, Sergio Martino wouldn't even put his own name on it.
They can't all be hits.
No.
No. Yeah. So Yamashita has since gone on to write numerous books, primarily about karate, but also about ninjutsu, which is pretty dubious shit to begin with. But I do believe that he's the guy who consulted on all the ninja weapons and techniques in this movie, since they're all actually fairly authentic to, that Bujinkan ninjutsu shit. There's a school down in fucking Plastow, New Hampshire that teaches ninja.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bleak. That's like divorced dad bleak.
It's crazy. And their website uses the phrase ninja magic a little too much for my comfort. If
you turn the sound up as soon as you visit it, it goes bwong. You're like, okay, I gotta go.
When I was studying Kung Fu, and I was in the school one day, and like the Sifu had gone off and for a moment, and we were just kind of like bullshitting between exercises, and I was like, you see that? You guys ever been down in Plastow? There's that fucking place down there. It says ninja on the sign. They teach ninjutsu, and we're like, and then my Sifu pops his head in and he goes, hey, listen, don't associate with ninjas. They're bad people. And then he just fucks off and leaves us with that. And we didn't know what to do with it.
He was like smoke bomb out the door.
No ninja smoke. This dude just vanished.
Oh
yeah, fucking crazy.
What a weird world they live in.
So
you were like, hey man, this is New Hampshire. You all need to calm the fuck down.
It's too cold for this shit, you guys.
Yeah.
Yep. So we got a tagline, and it's in the trailer. The deadliest art of the Orient is now in the hands of an American.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
There's actually a second one.
But it's just a variety. It's just a variation on that one.
Oh no!
Oh shit! Then hit me.
He was trained in Japan to kill 1,000 ways.
No, he wasn't.
Now he's home and will face his deadliest challenge. Put a pin in that because I've got a lot of shit to say about that coming up.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a super generic tagline, but it's very important to what I'm going to talk about in a little bit.
Okay, because the so this movie exists at a cross section of some of my favorite shit. First, Cold War intrigue and history, and the history of the Cold War, and incredibly stupid action movies that I love.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So
that is both of those things.
So here's a little background on the Philippines, which is the where they made this movie. They don't make a whole lot of noise about it. It's just a jungle setting, but
which also might be part of the problem. One of the problems the movie has.
Yeah. So in the aftermath of World War II, the film industry of the Philippines was one of the most prolific in the world. And this fucking fact blew my mind. It was that it was the second largest economy in Asia, but at its height in the 1950s, they were producing as many as 300 movies a year, of which none of them were released internationally. These were domestically released movies in the Philippines.
And there are movies that were made in the Philippines or like Malaysia, Philippines, like that, and made and like released here. There was this like exploitation movie.
Oh, sure. So yeah, AIP gets in there in the late 50s with a guy named John Ashley, I think is his name.
Yes, that's the first one. And then
they make
there's another indie guy.
Creature Blood, Brides of Blood, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then comes Ferdinand Marcos. Okay, so though it has never been confirmed by the U.S. government in any way, and probably never will, the rise of Marcos on the Nationalista ballot, which was basically their right-wing political party, was likely done in collusion with the CIA to cool the rise of progressivism.
Hold on just a minute. Do you mean to tell me
Reese, do you mean to tell me?
Do you mean to tell me the American government is propping up some sort of banana republic?
It's 1961. We've been practicing in the Middle East. So yeah, it wasn't a proper coup, but it was just the fucking fix was in, and it was basically because a progressive, not a communist party or a socialist party, just a progressive liberal party was on the rise there. And they needed to hold some influence over Southeast Asia because there were real socialist and communist parties coming around in like Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, obviously. And so
it was already the Indochina War was already going on.
Yeah. And so Europe is already by the early 1950s, like Europe is just a stalemate. And the Middle East has been sort of crafted into a region that's mostly friendly to the United States and Great Britain because of oil primarily. And so eyes now turn to Southeast Asia as the next theater. And the man alive, does the United States government just love a fucking dictator?
They do.
So Marcos thrust the Philippines.
They couldn't wait to get their own.
Oh, I know it. I'm surprised.
Spoiler, everybody.
I'm surprised it took us this fucking long. So Marcos thrust the Philippines into an economic depression almost immediately. The value of the peso plunges, and in comes our man, Roger Corman, who demonstrates the tremendous value of the American dollar in the Philippines.
I just every time I'm just like putting my fingers in my ears. Don't want to know.
I know. I'm so fucking conflicted over this. We did an entire episode just celebrating the man's career and life, and then we've done a couple where we're just like, oh, Roger.
I knew it all. I knew it all before. It just sucks.
It's the thing is he, in a very indirect way, he was sort of propping up this government because they were just financially fucked almost immediately. And so, yeah, because the Marcos government is just hard up. It's corrupt as hell.
Well, you got to buy shoes.
Imelda Marcos
loves shoes.
Got to wear a new pair of shoes for every day. They facilitate basically any request made by any filmmaker as long as bribes are paid. So now things in Manila get really fucking dark in the 70s. The Moro insurgency is going strong in the Southern Islands. There's and
it's bad. It is like blood, like rivers of blood in the streets. Bad
waves of political assassinations. Marcos, and I put this in quote marks, wins a second term in 1969 through coercion, vote buying, and outright violence. And then in 1972 declares martial law and becomes a proper dictator. He actually called himself a benevolent dictator. So. You know what continued like nothing ever happened? Movie productions in the Philippines. Yeah. Australia is in on it now. Italy is making war movies there. Francis Ford Coppola produces parts of Apocalypse Now there. When the Vietnam War ends and jungle action movies reminiscent of that conflict become kind of all the rage, here comes the rightful heir to the Corman legacy to capitalize, Cannon Films.
Yeah.
Now, this is pure conjecture, but I've got a little glimmer of something that supports this theory of mine.
That's all right. You do yours and then I'll tone down your craziness with
it ain't
something
crazy
that's maybe a little more realistic.
I have a fucking case study that we will one day cover. So likely aided by the State Department, Cannon came in with bigger budgets, and the Marcos regime couldn't be happier to provide their own military and equipment as stand-ins for Cannon's jingoistic action movies. And it worked because most of the Filipino hardware was bought from American arms dealers and military contractors. But Marcos's health was failing at the same time, and a popular uprising was growing in the Philippines called the People Power Movement. And so Ferdinand's wife, Imelda, steps up to take over for her ailing husband, but isn't really up to the task. And in 1986, the couple is ousted and exiled to Hawaii, where the United States government leaves them high and dry, and they face criminal charges.
What do you mean to tell me?
When I read that, I was like, yeah, that tracks. Because they came over, like they called up the State Department, or rather they called up the United States Embassy, and we're like, what do you recommend? And the ambassador was like, I think you should fucking take your money and leave. And
it's a real Noriega. I never heard of him.
Exactly.
That's that scenario.
So they take a fucking ship to like an actual naval vessel Or no. They take it. They're flown by a military plane to Hawaii, where they're kind of dumped there. But they're rich as hell, and they think that Ronald Reagan is gonna like fucking welcome them with open arms, and Reagan could not get the fuck away from them faster.
That's because he quite literally could not remember who they were. Hey-o!
So this is one of the
That's
last.
a Reagan Alzheimer's joke, everybody.
Yeah, this is
He sucks, so
because
it's okay.
he had Alzheimer's well into his first term.
Yeah.
This is one of the last American movies to be made in the glory days of American exploitation movies produced in the Philippines. And after that, Cannon, likely aided by State Department, moves action movie production to the next logical venue, South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Well, you're a crazy person. Here's my theory. My theory is, so what half of that is very true, is that a lot of post-World War II, and then again after Vietnam sort of wound down, the kind of warlords and gun runners came in, scooped up all these weapons, because they could buy these, you could buy, after World War II, I think there was one American, I can't remember his name, but like he started a weapons company in the US, and he would just go and buy old found military, because they just had all these fucking guns and bombs and all this shit just sitting there.
Right, because after World War II, Germany, at least the West Germans were literally demilitarized.
Yes, they surrendered all their weapons. So England took all of them, but they didn't really need them or want them. So they just sort of sat there, but it required a lot of upkeep, because you couldn't just let them sit and rust. So they had to keep. So this guy came in and was like, I will give you $4 per gun. And then he would come back to the US and sell those for like $20.
Yeah.
And this is a big part of how America becomes flooded with guns, is because of this guy. And so that's one part, and then like the same thing happens with a lot of like larger like trucks and all this other stuff. My theory is that somebody at Canon, some production designer or someone high up, learned that they could buy a lot of these decommissioned military equipment. And so they were like, well, great. We'll just buy all this shit. We don't have to rent it then. And we'll make a ton of fucking war movies. And that'll cut our costs way, way down, because we'll just own all this dumb shit. And it probably just got auctioned off when the company went under. Because God knows MGM doesn't want all that shit.
Well, maybe, because I do know this is well established that like one of the things that, like, if you wanted to make a war movie in the Philippines, one of the reasons that it was, I mean, apart from the fact that the dollar just went so far there, but one of the reasons that you would do it is because you could just pay the right people, and they'd be like, here's our army, here is our equipment. It's just laying around. We're not doing anything with it. And all of the equipment looks American.
Mm-hmm.
So it's perfect.
A lot of it was.
Because a lot of it was. Not to mention, like, there is actually like American military personnel posted up there, at least until 1986.
Yeah, a lot of the shit was either Russian or American.
Like they didn't even have to buy it. Like they would just do that, because there was actually like a quote by one of the guys who made this. This movie was made. It was filmed around Mindanao, which is in the southern island that's kind of closer to Indonesia than Manila, and it was there that Marcos's government was actually in like a sustained war against Moro insurgents who were Muslims. And so they would spend the morning just bombing and strafing Filipino Muslims, and then they would drive their shit over to the set of American Ninja.
Shoes. That's where they kept all their shoes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It sucks that that's like
the
thing I remember most about the Marcos regime is his fucking wife's shoes. But that's
right,
what I got.
Right, because once they fled, the people power movement, like it turned into just basically like not violence, but like a lot of activity on the street, and protesters like raided their compound. And, it was basically like January 6th, except it was like they were like,
I'm picturing like when like they stormed Saddam Hussein's fucking compound and like ripped everything apart, like they're destroying all this like ancient history, but like they get in there and they're like, it's all shoes. Why is it shoes?
Did she really need this many shoes?
Where's the money?
Oh my God, you could not get away from that fucking joke. It was everywhere.
I mean, it was true. It was a fact that she did hoard shoes.
Yep. So this movie was released in Germany under the title American Fighter. And it was released in the UK as American Warrior, because the UK has some weird laws related to anything ninja. It is actually tangentially related to the video nasties list.
It also has a lot to do with Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles was a piece of it. It
becomes largely expanded because of Ninja Turtles.
So when the earlier canon ninja movies were released in England, it resulted in a very similar cultural craze to the United States because fucking ninjas rule. But it was happening in the middle of the panic over violent movies, and the UK cracked down censorship-wise on anything ninja-related until the mid-90s when things relaxed. And then, just like you mentioned, it extended to Ninja Turtles, which we kind of touch on in our Ninja Turtles episode, where all things Turtles had to be released as Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. And then the weird thing is that it only seemed to extend to movie titles. So movies about ninjas.
Well, no, Ninja Turtles, they actually had the cartoon. They had to edit out a bunch of shit.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, that's why Michelangelo in the cartoon, he had his nunchaku.
Yep.
But then eventually he ends up with like this kind of grappling hook rope. And it's because so many fucking kids were inspired by that cartoon and whipping around whatever the fuck they could get their hands on, whacking each other in the face with.
Fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yep. Kids are dumb.
Yeah, I don't suppose that you have any commentary from the press, do you?
I do, but I want to get into something. I'm going to situate this a little bit because I think these movies require context because they often are very culturally insensitive.
Yeah.
Go figure. I found something really interesting about this that I wanted to kind of get into before I get into the press part. Because guess what? Critics fucking hate it.
I'm sure.
But
this movie is dumb as hell.
As was alluded to, like this comes out deep into Reagan era politics, and it's everywhere. Like it is
okay, but also you got to mention it. 1985 was a really precarious year. Like Reagan had made some sort of comments that had sort of heated things up. So we are really we're 2 minutes to midnight. I believe
it's real brinksmanship era.
I believe that we were permanently at DEFCON 2 from this, which if you don't know, Defense Condition 2, there's one more step before we're at all out war. And so
there's warships in position.
It is so fucking bad. There's American bombers are flying over the fucking Arctic Circle, getting really, really close to fucking to Russia. Russian bombers are flying really close. There's nuclear subs that are being spotted. It's crazy.
I think this movie is less of a what's happening in the moment, because the Cold War is always sort of tangentially happening. But I think it is more a thing that we come back to a lot I think this has a lot to do with Vietnam.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, the national trauma left over from Vietnam.
So we're 4 or 5 years out from the unveiling of the memorial. Mm-hmm. So this is just kind of what's happening.
10 years from the sort of the evacuation of Saigon. It's
one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen on film.
It just was not that long ago, and it is fresh in people's mind. And more than that, as much as the United States tried to spin it, we were roundly fucking defeated.
Oh no, it was a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And that was a huge thing. It was a big problem for a lot of people. It was a big sort of cultural, a big hit to their identity. And so this movie comes out amid all these other movies. And the thing that I was reading about is I was kind of looking at this, the academic study of all these movies, and they refer to them as hard body movies.
Just
film studies,
buff bodybuilder type things.
I believe that's what it is a reference to. Is they're big dudes.
Okay, Stallone and Schwarzenegger.
So they refer to them as hard body, and there's 3 cycles of hard body movies. The first one is they sort of break them up, not necessarily by era, but by kind of content. So the first one is I can't remember what they called it, but it's movies like Kickboxer or Bloodsport, where they sort of come into their own as young nascent heroes. And the second cycle is called repressed hard body subcycle.
Okay.
And that is where this movie falls. And so it is described as the second subcycle of the hard body genre, the repressed hard body subcycle. Follows a former hard-bodied hero tamed by society who rediscovers his masculinity and fights against the evil forces of the film, whatever's in the movie.
Communism.
It's whatever it is. So it's think about like Red Dawn. It's like,
Oh, right,
you know,
right.
she's whatever's happening, like something comes to disrupt them. So in simple terms, they're like a former, either a military hero or a cop or whatever, like some big hero, but then they have to like settle back into normal life. And they are not good at normal life because they have to repress their heroic masculinity. And so most of these movies really are about masculinity and about sort of men in America.
Yeah. I mean,
so that's sort of like the general approach within film studies where they discuss these films. Is that's sort of what this genre is all about. It's sort of inevitably something happens that either a family is kidnapped or whatever, like some trigger.
The colonel's daughter is kidnapped by ninjas.
Exactly. That requires them to sort of like call up their heroic strength and sort of loose their masculinity upon the world again. It's actually that's
interesting
really
as
cool,
hell, and I think that's cool. Cool.
It's a really cool sort of subgenre of film and gender studies that I really want. Like, I'm always fucking pulling myself in a million directions, but I really like this one. Who knows if I'll get into it, but so essentially, like, these movies exist to reinforce gender expectations and standards. And but particularly during the Reagan era, and the rise of the new right. And so what you have is, because you have after this defeat, because this defeat in Vietnam is, and I swear to God, everybody, this is actually important. It's not just pontificating. Like, the defeat in Vietnam is destabilizing for like American dominance and American masculinity, particularly when it comes to Asian people. And this is why we start to see a flood of movies where Asian people are depicted as sort of duplicitous or sort of squirrely.
Also, some of that comes from a kind of leftover sentiment from the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean,
because there's it's just American racism. But the fact that it was a sneak attack is what.
Yeah, so
is what kind of cemented that in our minds.
It comes from the same thing. Like, you see it again in Vietnam because they're guerrilla fighters.
Yeah, they pop up out of the jungle and they fucking vanish. It's why they were impossible to nail down.
And so these movies, what you have in this particular movie, and you see this in a lot of things, but like what you have in this movie is a white person who is sort of dominating and becoming a sort of an expert in the domain of something that was once culturally unique to Asian people. And so you get these movies where it's like,
sure.
We don't need them anymore.
I mean, I believe that this movie probably wouldn't exist without a Karate Kid.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. So, and I mean, that one's obviously a little bit more geared towards children, but like it's
definitely not as odious.
What these movies do is they allow white people to like either dominate or master the skills of Asian people to the extent that they can then say like, oh, see, you're not that great. You're not necessary. I can learn this too. And now I know it. And now, of course, this is where things like cultural appropriation get very tricky for people, because they're like, what do you mean I can't learn it? And it's like, you can learn it. It's not yours. But I just thought this shit was so interesting because that's 100% what this movie is this is about being able to be like, look, white people can learn this shit too. Because essentially he is a white ninja.
Yeah.
You're saying American, but like American is synonymous with white. We all know that.
Right.
That's kind of how we got here.
Yeah. It's the deadly art of the Orient in the hands of an American.
And it's also all about individuality. And so there's this emphasis on individuality. So like think Rambo, think Death Wish, and Die Hard.
Every
You're
one of
doing
these
it all
movies
on your own.
Right. It's one man against an army.
Yeah. So it's just like, I got like way in the weeds in these fucking papers that I was reading. And I was like, all right, I got to actually focus on this dumbass movie.
When I was writing the sort of history of the Filipino film industry, I was like, at a certain point, I had to cut like 1,000 words. So I was like, nobody's going to listen to this.
We've already been talking for an hour. We've yet to talk about the actual movie. But so what I think is also super interesting is that this is where there's a certain point. This is kind of the breaking point. So you get all these like, Chuck Norris and Brad, they start a little bit with Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee is very Western because he was, grew up in Hong Kong and had a very Western culture. But
he was so fucking cool. It helped that he was really cool.
He was very cool and extremely charming. But like, from about 75 to 85, it's, I don't want to say authentic, but like there are Asian people involved in them. Mm-hmm. By this point, though, like that idea of masculinity and like big dudes, Schwarzenegger, like they will keep making these movies, obviously, until the 90s, like through the 90s, really. But they really kind of drop off here, where it becomes less about giant, big, heroic people like, you know, Schwarzenegger and Stallone. And you start to see kind of nerdy kids. You get Karate Kid, but you also get like shit like Teen Wolf, where like goofy, awkward teenagers start to become the stars of movies.
Yeah.
Like Goonies and Weird Science and Back to the Future. And it's like that, like teen-oriented movies become the big hits all of a sudden. And it's less about these. And it's like, that is also kind of further destabilizing because now it's not just like, oh, you know, Vietnam ruined our culture. It's like, oh, these fucking kids are also ruining our culture because they don't give a shit about American heroism or whatever.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. But like, yeah, I kind of got lost down that rabbit hole. But it is worth bringing that up because this is like a very, very obvious product of that.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime we see other people's culture being represented by white people, I think it's worth calling it out because it's always going to be problematic.
Every single time.
You know, and it doesn't mean we can't enjoy it because we do enjoy this movie, but it is worth talking about because it's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one who thought so. There were a lot of critics who thought so too. Did you see that pivot?
That's a segue.
Thank you. That was really good. Well, I got some long ones because they're kind of funny. So, Michael Blow in a Boston Globe. The artful development of character and story isn't the essence of ninja films. I would challenge that, actually. It needs well-crafted action and a cornucopia of the latest weapons. It also needs a gang of guys who can turn an aerial somersault and slice 3 throats before they hit the ground. Even on this basic banal level, American Ninja is a bomb. American Ninja is a distasteful attempt to cash in on the Rambo runover, but it fails. It's like a paint by numbers picture of an American dressed in camouflage uniform and standing in the jungle, except that this incompetent crew couldn't even keep the colors within the lines. It's a mess.
Oh,
brutal.
Yeah, I mean, but not necessarily wrong. However, I do disagree. I think that this movie's action sequences are fairly engaging and exciting.
I think they get good towards the end. They're pretty slow and sloppy in the beginning, though. Here is the Los Angeles Times. Somebody actually kind of liked this movie. Slicing and dicing their adversaries with the precision of a Vegematic, the ninja are once again on the rampage in American Ninja, a violent, supercharged adventure that breathes new life into the often deadly, dull martial arts genre. I feel like somebody needs an editor. Even if you need a sturdy pocket calculator to keep track of all the flying bodies here, American Ninja doesn't just dump everyone into the meat grinder, it mixes its mayhem with something these muscle-flexing films often lack, a wry sense of mischief.
What?
It's a terribly written review, but he did like the movie.
That's funny.
Now we have Owen McNally, the Hartford Courant. American Ninja is a pathetic yawner of a martial arts action flick. They're savage.
Just hitting you with both barrels.
This is the opening line. It has no kick, but it is armed with a lethal dose of silliness and boredom that will pummel you mercilessly from beginning to end. I also hate that sentence because I don't think boredom is an appropriate follow-up.
Okay.
It's not. These are not equal. Even the not-so-grand finale, with the forces of right battling the forces of evil, is a dud. If you survive the first 85 minutes of this 95-minute mess, you deserve some sort of reward.
Oh my God.
And finally, Rick Cogan, a Chicago Tribune. Like most Chop Chop films, this one attempts to entertain with a series of violent interludes. But the story on which these moments of mayhem hang might well have come from the rejection pile in the Knight Rider script shop. Ooh, sick burn, Rick. We watched the film in the Chicago theater, and midway through it, noticed a pair of mice scampering across the floor. They were obviously looking for a way out, those intelligent little creatures. No stars!
Jesus Christ.
I find this like occasional sassiness that they all whip out to be like, it's a little like, oh, put it away, boys. Sheila Benson can get away with it and you can't.
It is a pettiness that almost says like, I can't believe I had to fucking watch this for work.
Yeah. Like, look, man, you review movies for the fucking Hartford Courant. You have a job. Shut up.
I know. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they didn't care for it.
No.
I will say, I think this movie could have been more violent.
I was surprised that it wasn't.
Yep.
But
Should have been.
Yeah, it should have been. I mean, what was stopping you?
I mean, watch Lone Wolf and Cub. There's blood splattering everywhere.
This shit's going everywhere. That's like 1973. What's stopping you, American Ninja?
Yeah.
That movie is packed with ninjas.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh, let's shall we actually approach this film?
It's about time.
All right. So we open on an army base in an unspecified exotic location. Bored GIs play the hot new sport out of California, hacky sack.
And one of them says, hey, wait for me. Back home, I'm like deadly. I'll teach you girls how to play. And my note says homophobia. Got him.
Yep. While Joe Armstrong, our American ninja, wordlessly
Fucking Joe America.
wordlessly hangs nearby, scowling at everyone. Meanwhile, a blow-dried buffoon shows off and kicks the sack at Joe, who's just too cool to help out.
Gay. Can't do that.
When the colonel comes out, everybody snaps to it, gets ready to transport his daughter to wherever she's going, along with a couple of trucks loaded with army materiel.
Yeah, led by Sergeant Chef Boyardee, who I will refer to in my notes as Chief Boyardee.
The colonel, a William Hickok, is played by a guy whose stage name is, and I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm going to call him Gooch Cock.
Nice. Nice. Yes.
The colonel sends the stuffy Sergeant Ronaldo, Chief Boyardee.
Chief Boyardee.
Now I got to remind myself to oversee the convoy.
And all the while they're playing, I have to say, there's a lot of dumb shit in this movie. The score to this film is
movie's
horrible.
music
It is some of the worst I've ever heard.
It is. When we were watching it, I kept remarking that it sounded like library music from the fucking A-Team.
Yeah, and it's not. Like this guy.
No, what's his name? Something.
His name is Michael Lynn.
Michael Lynn.
And he did Texas Chainsaw 2, which is not a great score, but it's a score. It's better than this.
No, I think of all the licensed music from Texas Chainsaw 2 before.
He did Rappin'. He did Breakin' 2.
Oh no.
He did. Here's the pièce de résistance. Freddy's Dead. The Final Nightmare. Which curiously was not the Final Nightmare.
You perished the thought.
Should have been.
No, I know Jay Chataway has a credit on this one. But
so Jay Chataway he was doing a ton of shit. Like he did a bunch of Chuck Norris movies around this time.
So they just had a bunch of Jay Chataway tracks kicking around.
So yeah, Cannon pulled a bunch of other music from their other karate movies and inserted it. But this guy did the music for the movie. So all the really shitty stuff, I think that's him.
Yeah. It's no good. It's just no good. So the convoy drives along a scenic riverside route in the South Philippines until they come upon some road construction, which stops them.
And we hear this straining trumpet just like squealing. It's like someone asked me to record it.
Yep. G.I. Joe, American Ninja Esquire, notices that they're also blocking the road behind them. And then a bunch of grungy dude with rifles emerge from the bush and pull everyone out of their trucks. And
they are what you might call vaguely ethnic.
Not one of them looks like they know how to hold a rifle. Which makes sense because Ferdinand Marcos outlawed guns as soon as he came to
why
power.
would that be?
Right. They used to be a very gun-happy culture. Also, there's the one guy that we keep seeing who keeps pulling people out and like roughing up Joe. I am distracted. He is wearing these purple fingerless gloves that are a choice because the rest of his outfit is like jungle fatigues.
There's a lot of people in this that I feel like they showed up and maybe they expected to have bigger characters because they showed up and they were like, no, let me tell you the backstory. And they're like, you're in the background. You get that. You're an under 5. You get that, right? And they're like, no. So he grew up in the South. And it's like they have got a whole thing mapped out in their head.
Yep. And they were just so disappointed. But man, they're gonna play it. The colonel's daughter encourages her driver, Charlie, the hacky sack bandit, to drive off, and they pull him out of this car too. The bad guys get a little rough with Joe, who easily avoids them, while the colonel's daughter, Patricia, tries to drive away. So then Joe starts whipping asses, and then everybody else does too, which
Well, because he slaps her in the face. The guy hits Patricia, and that's what spurs GI America
she gets
into
slapped.
action.
She gets slapped in this movie like 4 times.
Well, that's because, as previously
she is-
established, women suck.
She is the only woman in this movie, and she gets hit like 4 times.
And she is a stereotype to end all stereotypes.
My God.
And so after that, like like chaos is happening, and she jumps back in the car and just leaves them there.
Right. So yeah, he's like, so Joe's like throwing tire irons at the bad guys, and pretty soon it looks like the army dudes have the upper hand.
Yeah, my note says America socking it to the Asians, just like Reagan and Bush.
Just like we should have had Vietnam, man. But what's this? There's ninjas up in them hills.
Yeah, just sliding down out of the palm trees there.
One of the army.
No reason.
Where else are they gonna hide? So one of the army guys gets in a truck and drives away, and he's chased by one of the bandits in another one. Joe manages to climb onto the truck as it passes, and he grabs the hook and chain off the back. Climbing over the canopy, he throws the hook through the windshield, which causes the driver to spill, and the whole thing blows up because it's an action movie in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. And these ninjas, they have on, I would say, like Kiss levels of eyeliner.
Oh, good God. Yeah, Black Star Ninja is painting the guy liner on real thick. Yeah. So now then come the ninjas, and they be up in the trees, and they leap down and kick ass, stabbing the shit out of the army guys.
It's a lot of like slapstick fighting.
I mean,
Like there's like
is.
pratfalls in there.
Yep. Their leader is a badass dude with a black star on his cheek. They're about to shoot arrows into Patricia when here comes Joe, the American ninja, who manages to deflect them with a shovel. He grabs the girl and runs into the jungle while the cowardly sergeant surrenders. And he what is it? The Black Star, he asks me, it's like, who was that man? And he's like, I don't know. He's a new guy. And he's like, he possesses great skills.
He's got no history. He's got no future. I don't even know his birthday. Come on. I'm Chief Boyardee over here.
So Joe narrowly gives the ninjas the slip while Patricia chirps at him like she wants to get killed by ninjas.
Oh, she does. She's like, I hope you're going to go to Italy and get me another pair of shoes. And my note says, typical American princess, women be shopping.
All she's got to do is go over to the Marcos Palace and grab a pair. Mm-hmm. Right? So he busts the heels off her shoes, and then they jump in the river to hide. And when the ninjas,
it would be great if he had to karate fight an anaconda.
He's like punching
like
the face.
Like the zombie shark fight in Zombie.
Oh no! What is it? Is it Hard Target when JCVD punches a snake in the face?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, when the ninjas come running, they find only still water. So no,
he's American ninja.
Yep. Back on the roads, the ninjas dress in the soldiers' clothes and drive off with the army trucks. So when they're safe, Joe and Patricia hang their clothes up to dry for some fucking reason. It's really just so we can get a good look at Joe's ripped physique.
And she's like, if my father saw us out here like this, he would absolutely kill you. And it's like, he just saved you from a bunch of ninjas. He's not taking you to the picture show.
Yep. So when they get back to the base,
that's when he's like, name's Joe. Joe America.
Right. Just Joe. Just call me Joe.
Yeah.
So yeah, when they back to the base, all the soldiers are in body bags, and everyone is mad at Joe, who definitely didn't have to start a fight that got everyone killed.
Nope.
But it also turns out that the army is getting ripped off left and right, which makes you wonder what all the rifles are for. So a soldier named Jackson is called over to report on the casualties, and he is awesome. These wounds are obviously the work of ninjas, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know.
Ninjutsu, the secret art of assassination.
Yep, he just calls it like he sees it. Elsewhere.
Well, I would know those anywhere. Ninjas, ninjutsu, they're sacred art.
You just see them everywhere. I see this shit all the time. So elsewhere at the palatial estate of the movie's bad guy, Senor Ortega, a white guy with a French accent and a Spanish last name.
He is baffling to me.
Because that accent is obviously fake.
It's a vaguely exotic, but clearly maybe European, but it also sounds a little bit like he's choking.
Yeah.
And it's like French, but his name is Senor Ortega?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. So the Black Star Ninja reports in. The army fought back with an American ninja, which is preposterous because there are none. how wrong these fools are.
I know.
They're about-
There is but one.
They're about to deal some weapons to a foreign buyer, and nothing must go wrong.
And my subtitles say, speaking Japanese.
Do they? Because
Thought you couldn't be bothered to work that one out?
There's a couple of moments where like he speaks French. There's another guy who speaks a little Spanish, and Black Star Ninja speaks Japanese a couple of times, and I'm like, I wonder if I should turn the subtitles on.
It's a truly intercontinental production.
Yep. So Joe and Patricia have a sort of meet cute moment before he drops her off at her house, and it is excruciating.
And it's so bizarre because like she's saying goodbye in this moment like they just went on a date instead of like running away from some paramilitary ninja group.
Yeah. Yeah. So she kisses him on the cheek. Thanks for saving me from ninjas.
She fucking sucks. And it's not her fault. It's the asshole who wrote this, whose only credit is this movie.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, he was a State Department guy. It's like when what was his name? Casino Jack. Shit, I'll think about it later. He was basically a Republican lobbyist who wrote the movie Red Scorpion.
Oh,
which we'll have to cover. The latest Weird Little Guys podcast is an episode all about it. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But so yeah, back at base, he gets chewed out by the colonel for getting all those dudes killed. And then the sergeant runs over Joe's record. Absolutely nothing is known about him, which seems like conspicuous details that the army would need to know.
Yep.
But he seems to have amnesia after getting blown up by a construction crew in the jungle or something.
Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
The movie's not going to think about it too much. So he got into some violent trouble when he was 16, and they gave him a choice to go to jail or enlist, which, is that a thing? I've seen that in other movies, and I wonder.
I can't imagine that it was. It might have been in like, if you lived in like some fucking backwater place, maybe.
But yeah. So when Joe comes out, Charlie, the driver, points him out to Jackson, the guy who knows about ninja wounds, and everyone on the base is real mad at Joe. They'll give him the stink eye when he comes into the barracks, and he's too cool for those guys, though. He lays down and has some memory of when he was a kid, hanging out with an old Japanese dude. So back at Senor Ortega's place, a couple of shady dudes arrive, and he gives them the grand tour, and it's your average Bond villain hangout. Ortega
Look, this ninja training camp. They rented a Pee-wee football camp for the weekend and just slightly altered the fucking obstacle course.
Stuck a few knives here, a few spears
that
there.
is all it is. It is hilarious.
So Ortega shows them who keeps the place beautiful, a man named Shinyuki, who he found hiding out in the jungle, a Japanese soldier who was unaware that the war was over. And that was a real thing that happened.
There was a whole town of them, or not a town of them.
No. It was famously, it was in the Philippines. It was a unit of four.
They killed people.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It was a unit of 4 guys. 1 guy surrendered. 2 guys died. And just the last guy stayed out in the jungle. So when the Japanese surrendered after World War II, their entire military, just the infrastructure collapsed. And so communication lines broke down. And many of the units, the Japanese soldiers just dug into the islands around the Pacific, and they were unaware of what was going on. And then many of them eventually kind of figured it out, and they kind of
haven't heard from anybody in a while.
Yeah, except for this one guy named Hiru Onoda, who just kept on keeping on in the Philippines, being an absolute fucking nightmare to the locals until
he like attacked people.
Oh yeah, he murdered a few people out there and just vanished back into the jungle. And then in 1974, the Japanese government was like, I think we should go do something about this. And they just could not get this guy to come down. Like he stuck to his fucking orders. And so they got his original commanding officer to go there and just like shout into the forest to tell him that he was like officially relieved of his duty. And that was that. And then they just let him go.
Well, what do you do with that point? The guy's obviously fucking nuts.
I do not know. Yeah.
Don't give him a gun or anything, but
no. I think he moved to Brazil and like became a cattle rancher or something.
Brazil.
Yeah. So Ortega then shows his client to his secret training grounds where ninjas work out in brightly colored, high visibility costumes, which is my favorite thing.
That's so you can see them in the trees.
Definitely want to be able to see the ninjas. Precisely the sort of thing
it's all Hunter's orange all around.
They train, they freak out, they do ninja shit. The Black Star Ninja demonstrates his prowess by fighting a bunch of them all at once and then kills one of the ninjas, which seems like a bit of a waste if you ask me.
Well, got to prove his point.
Right. Ortega then takes his clients to the warehouse where his stolen weapons are, and it's all there except for one important weapon system that they need, but don't worry, they'll be there. Back at base.
You're going to get to see it at the end. It is the most quintessentially 80s thing there ever was.
It really is. It really is. So back at the base, Jackson runs with his unit, spots Joe working on a Jeep. He stops to give him a hard time about being the karate boy.
That's right. We left all you glory boys back in Vietnam because glory boys got people killed.
Yeah. So Charlie the driver goads Jackson into challenging Joe, who ignores them all. And it's on when Jackson steals his wrench. So they fight, but Joe handily deals with Jackson, hardly even touching him. Tosses him around.
It's a real prop comic moment here.
It is.
It's a little too carrot top for my liking.
Tosses him around using only a garden hose. When the army dudes hand Jackson a stick, Joe puts a bucket on his head and invites him to hit it. But without his sight, he tosses Jackson easily and the fight is over. And now, having worked out their shit, they're all right with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So the sergeant shows up. Jackson tries to cover for Joe like it was all a demonstration, but it's no good. Joe's up shit creek again and has to go around emptying trash cans.
Yeah, this is where we learned that, like, he doesn't know where he learned any of these skills. He's an amnesia ninja, and my note is, this is insanely stupid.
It's just instinct, man. It just comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here comes Jackson on a sweet fucking motorcycle, demanding to know where Joe learned his crazy ninja skills, but he doesn't remember. Jackson has a plan where they can make a little money with all that crazy ninja karate Joe does. He says, I got the brains, you got the brawn. Let's make lots of money.
Oh, okay.
That's a Pet Shop Boys reference for you. Yep. Catches Patricia's eye since she's also on the base. Patricia, meanwhile, has some sort of plan that she puts Charlie the driver up to, and I guess we're going to have to wait to find out. It's also
okay.
It's such a contrivance. On the base, Charlie the driver gets Joe to deliver a note to a girl that he has waiting for him at the country club.
Now, here's how you'll know which one she is. She'll be on the balcony wearing a white dress. It's kind of like in, what was that, in Django Unchained? He's coming to the parlor for some white cake.
So he can't go because he's confined to the base for being such a bad guy. So he needs a way to sneak off. He borrows Jackson's bike and jumps over the wall, landing in a way that looks like it really hurt the stunt guy.
Apparently, among Joe's many, many mysteriously picked up skills is stunt driving.
This guy, I watched this scene a couple of times. This guy fully smashes his face on the fairing. It looks,
and probably his crotch on the seat.
Totally wrecks the suspension. Joe, however, is fine. He rides over to where Charlie's girl is waiting for him, and it turns out to be Patricia, who engaged in a ruse, a cunning attempt to trick him.
That's right, in her white dress. This is where the tone of the movie really changes.
Oh my God, this was
and
the
it
part.
becomes like Chuck Norris meets Revenge of the Nerds from here on out.
This movie fucking puts the brakes on ninja stuff for like another, I don't know, like 30 minutes. It is almost an hour before they really start to pour it on.
And it's a little rough.
They hinge so much on all this fucking character shit, and none of it works. It drives me nuts. And
because again, this is his only writing credit. Yeah. So tells you how good he is at it.
So they go out, they have a date, riding around the sunset, stopping at some restaurant where Sergeant or Chief Boyardee.
That's where Chief Boyardee is. That's where we learn that Chief Boyardee is in on the whole thing.
Yep, having dinner with gasp, Senor Ortega.
This is where he says Senor Ortega, and I was like, what?
I know. I don't get it. Ortega wants Joe dead, and he has a plan that will probably unfold in the next 15 or 20 minutes.
He's like, it's the perfect plan. Hey, guess what, everybody? It is not the perfect plan. It is dumb as shit.
It is so fucking forgettable that when it goes down and they reveal that it was his plan all the time, I was like, what?
Wait, this was your plan?
I had completely forgotten that there was a setup for it.
Oh, man.
So Joe takes Patricia home, and they share a tender moment on the steps. The next morning, Joe, and then Chief Boyardee comes storming into the barracks, busts up everyone's good time, and has Joe assigned to the motor pool.
Yeah, because he's like, I've been cracking down on you since before you were even born, even before they were sent to reform schools. And I was like, in that order?
Right.
What?
He has him assigned to the motor pool where he'll be driving he'll be driving trucks around, which I thought he was already doing.
Yeah.
The duty
Well,
sergeant,
he was the official base badass until now.
right. He was assigned to stand over there and just scowl at people playing hacky sack.
Whipping around a knife or whatever.
The duty sergeant has him take one of their trucks over to a warehouse that is suspiciously empty. And when he gets there, he's attacked by fucking ninjas.
Yeah, look, ninjas in the warehouse seems like a pretty obvious setup.
Yep.
Like that's your plan is ninjas in the warehouse.
We'll ambush him in the warehouse. We'll trap him in there, and then all these ninjas will fucking kill him.
And at one point, one of them pops up out of one of those barrels, like a big can of, like one of those cans of snakes.
It's that. I was thinking like a real 80s video game, like fucking Double Dragon or some shit. Mm-hmm. So they fight, and Joe steals one sword. He slashes the shit out of him. And then they're shooting arrows and blow darts at him, and he's throwing ninja stars back at them. He throws a bunch of them through windows and shit, and they hit him with sneaky net from above, but he cuts his way out of it before they're even on the floor. Yeah. When they get his arm with a weighted chain, he throws his swords to either side and stabs the ninjas. And when he's recovered, he gets the last one. They're all dead.
I think here's my issue with these is I'm so accustomed to either watching Bruce Lee, who was like remarkably fast, or watching stuff like the Toho movies and all those like samurai movies where they're either cut really, like there's a lot of cuts really fast.
Yeah,
and so it makes it look like they're moving really quickly, because in this, they don't move very quickly. And I'm sure that is for two reasons. One, people just don't move that fast, but also you need to be safe when you're doing this. So it's like, you either have to speed it up or it looks a little sloppy and dumpy.
I think we talked about this a little bit when we did Lone Wolf and Cub. And I said that like, because like up until about like the 90s when I started like trading videos and like buying videotapes from like other countries, like this was sort of like my main action movie diet, and you get used to it. And then you see like what they're doing in Hong Kong and Japan, and you're like, oh my God, I've been missing this my entire life.
You're like, I literally just watched someone run up the side of a building.
Yeah, right. Because there's like an artistry and a skill, mostly because that those actors are martial artists and stuntmen and like gymnasts first, and then
and the
actors.
Dudikoff, not so much. Neither of those things.
He was
none of those things.
He was an actor, and the stuntman had to fucking reassure Furstenberg that he's like, don't worry, this guy will get it. And so yeah, like after,
and he does. Like to his credit, he clambers all over the place, and he's jumping in like
sure, like there's some stuff where I'm like, oh fuck, he's doing parkour and shit. But like
they clearly have to move a little slower.
Yeah.
So as not to cut anybody or break anything. And it's like, it pulls you out a little bit, because it's sort of like, I feel like I'm just watching like a bunch of fucking dudes.
It's
fight.
a slow, like sloppy American action movie. Like, and when you've seen what they're doing in Asia, it spoils you. Yeah. And I can never look at the stuff quite the same way, which I think is why I'm kind of a little bit impressed with the action in this, where it's not great, but it's better than I was expecting, because I fully expected the martial arts in this to suck.
They pull it off mostly, but there is an obvious difference. And I maybe that goes back to that thing of like, yes, white people can do this. Not
sure.
Same,
there's like right now there's or actually, I mean, going back to like, I think to like the late 90s, there's a director named Isaac Florentine and basically a stuntman turned actor named Scott Adkins. And they've made mostly make them in Asia, but they're produced for like the West primarily, and they are really fucking good. Like that guy is incredible, and he's in fucking everything now. And they dominate they kind of dominate the sort of like direct to video market these days.
Yeah. Cynthia Rothrock, same deal. Like
she was incredible. Yeah,
she's really good. Yeah, fucking women can't be ninjas. Fuck you, they can't.
Yeah. So now outside, the bad guys are stealing his truck. So Joe climbs out of the roof and jumps on the sidecar of the bad guy's motorcycle. And they do some fighting as they.
It's a real Indiana Jones moment.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I believe they do this in.
It's in
Last Crusade.
I think there's a whichever one they do it in, where like they're doing where he jumps from like one to another.
Yeah. So yeah, they do some fighting as they chase the truck, and then the truck crashes into the sidecar, sending the bad guy flying into the river. And then there's a lot of conspicuously placed set dressing for sweet motorcycle stunts.
Yeah.
The truck driver gets behind Joe, tries to run him over, but Joe clings to the truck and hides underneath it. And the stupid driver doesn't know he's there, so he drives Joe all the way back to Senor Ortega's place so he could see all the sneaky ninja shenanigans going on.
Yep.
When they stop, Senor Ortega looks at all the stolen shit and is happy with what they've stolen.
And he says, magnifique. And I said, I'm so confused.
I know. And this is the part where the movie's politics kind of become bare because he is a shady white guy in the Philippines selling stolen army shit to white Europeans. And it's weapons, as you're going to see him in a moment. It's just some fancy Stinger missile system. So some South African based, in quotes, freedom fighters in Angola are about to feel the pain of communism, if you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe gets caught in the act by a lone guard who fires around when Joe kicks him, prompting regular dudes and ninjas to swarm the place, but he does his own sneaky ninja shit and disappears into the rafters.
I mean, it's not really that sneaky. He just climbs up and climbs out onto the roof.
No, but there's also, I have not heard this in a really long time. It was, I used to call it sneaking around music. It's that kind of clangy, basically the soundtrack in this scene is really fucking conspicuous and annoying.
Oh yeah, it's horribly stereotypical music.
It's like tick tick and then like a swell of strings and more tick tick stuff. It's
about to get real Chinesey if you get my drift.
So now when Joe goes on the roof, the bad guy watchtower guards open fire on him, and they all miss because none of them seem to know how to hold a rifle.
Yeah, it's some real stormtrooper shooting.
Joe does ninja parkour shit to get away, leaping onto a very obvious stunt bag laid across the hood of a truck.
And there's going to be an even better one later.
He gets away and flees into the jungle, and the Black Star Ninja sends his ninja dudes after him. That fucking fool.
Yeah.
So now,
magical disappearing ninjas.
Right. So Shinyuki suddenly appears in the forest and helps Joe escape by pointing him to a hidden tunnel in the jungle. And the stupid ninjas are totally fooled. And when Joe looks back, Shinyuki is magically gone.
Disappearing ninja.
Yep. Ortega then calls Chief Boyardee to tell him that Joe escaped. And this was
and he has his hat like tucked into his I've seen
that in other like movies with military guys.
But that's not like what it's for, though, is it?
No, it's just what guys did. Yeah. So yeah, tells him that Joe escaped, and then this was their elaborate trap mentioned before at dinner.
It's not even a real trap. It's like just lured him there, and that's it.
Nope. So when Joe gets back to base, he's placed under arrest by Filipino MP with a dubious Southern accent.
Oh man, this guy's got a real shovel face. He's beaten with the ugly stick. I'll tell you what. I was taken aback by how unattractive this man was.
So Joe has to tell the colonel what was going on, but they won't hear it. Off to the brig with him. So they put Joe in a cell. Jackson stops by the brig to tell him that they made a mistake, and they send him off explaining that Joe stole army equipment, and that he's going down for it.
Yeah, no one's going to listen to Budget Carl Weathers, and that's a shame because what he says, he's like, I know Joe, sir. It's like, my man, you have known Joe for 5 minutes.
You thought he was a bad guy until he beat you in a fight.
And to be honest with you, nobody actually knows Joe, not even Joe.
Joe's the wind, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
wind, baby.
So Joe would never. So he goes to Chief Boyardee, who also tells him to fuck off.
Oh.
Jackson goes to tell Patricia because he needs to get the colonel, but he won't hear it either. So at Ortega's, the black...
Now, the colonel is her father?
Yes.
Now, her father reminds me of like every fucking Weasley Southern senator. Like, I'm looking at you, Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah. You mean Gooch Cock?
Yeah, exactly. Old Gooch Cock Tuberville.
Gooch Cock Senator R, Texas.
Oh, God. This is America.
Yep. So at Ortega's, the Black Star Ninja swears that he's going to get the job done. So he goes over to the army base and sneaks in. And so he cuts the power to the brig. And when the army guys come out to see what the deal is, he sneaks in, kills the 2 army guys left in the building with sweet ninja weapons.
Yeah, he does.
And then he does some flippy shit with his sickles and cuts the lock off and goes back to kill Joe. But Joe's no dummy. He's an American ninja, and he's ready for the Black Star. So he throws some ninja smoke It opens the door dramatically. But Joe bunched up some sheets under the blanket to look like a person. And Black Star falls for the oldest trick in the book like a fucking idiot and stabs them. But Joe's hiding behind the partition where the toilet is and does some parkour shit to avoid the sword. And then an MP comes running in and Black Star kills him. And then Naruto runs away.
This is when we get some real wild trombone again. It's like just straining is going nuts.
Oh, Joe runs out into the yard where all the mechanized equipment is, and they do some sweet fighting and stunt work.
It's going to be a lot of wrist control.
Joe, he grabs a spear off one of the vehicles. They fight some more, falling out of the ground, and some MPs drive up and shoot at them. But the Black Star Ninja throws a dart and kills him. And then the rest.
Is this where Joe like throws the ladder down?
Right.
And runs with that. I once saw a video of a honey badger who lived at this rescue, and a honey badger, he would always like. I don't know if he had like a lady honey badger somewhere out in the forest or whatever.
I don't know. Probably not, because he doesn't give a fuck.
But every night they would like, the guy would go and like close up the cage, be like, "Good night, sweet honey badger." And every morning he would come out and the honey badger would be gone. And it was because every night he would like build, once the guy went away, he would build this like ladder for himself.
I think I remember this. Yeah.
Out of like what was in the cage. Eventually he had to like take everything out of the cage because he kept getting out.
Yeah.
And he would like build a ladder. And for some reason, that was immediately what I thought of when he threw the ladder down. He's just like a honey badger.
Yeah, honey badger. He doesn't give a shit. So the rest of the MPs show up. They sound the alarm on the base. And then Joe hides out by the barrack and grabs Jackson when he comes out. He fills him in on what the sergeant's been up to. And then he has him get a Jeep so he can drive out to Ortega's and stop the arms deal. And for some reason, Jackson shows up with Patricia, who tries to talk him out of going it alone. She tries to talk.
Yeah, she's like, "If I mean anything to you, please trust me now." And it's like, again, you just met him. You don't mean anything to him.
And you don't know shit about this guy. The most you know about him is he's got a criminal record.
And she got shot in the face with the makeup gun.
So, okay. So they go out to the colonel's. The colonel isn't having it. They went through the war together. But
yeah, he's like, "We'll find out if this man's story is true or not. Just let me call up the criminals and ask them."
Right. So he agrees to look into it, calls the MPs up. They send their men, but it's a ruse.
Yeah.
The MPs show up with the sergeant, and they try to arrest Joe. Joe, an American ninja, leaps out the window, and his ninja skills make it so he doesn't sustain a single cut from the broken glass. He gets to the Jeep, takes off. The MPs follow him with the sergeant close behind. They engage in the slowest, crappiest high-speed chase. It
is real. It is a slog.
As the MPs shoot at him. Cars collide with trees, and eventually it's down to Joe and the sergeant, who he literally throws the driver out of the car out of frustration.
I looked away for a minute and like looked back, and I was like, "What is happening?" Why is he pushing this man out of the car for no reason?
So Joe runs the sergeant's Jeep off the road, which slowly descends the hill and gently bumps into a tree and then explodes into a fantastic fireball.
Exactly.
So now, Senor Ortega shows up at the colonel's house, revealing that this conspiracy goes all the way to the top.
I love that this Tommy Tuberville in his house, Gooch Tuberville, has
the John Wayne portrait.
He has the John Wayne portrait, but he also has white cowboy hats hanging on his wall.
Okay, so his character's name in this is Colonel William Hickok, and I guarantee that there was some Wild Bill Hickok shit that just got cut out.
But they look like it is like Nomi Malone decor. It's the kind of thing you'd see in like Coyote Ugly, maybe Roadhouse. It's the tackiest shit.
It's like the what is it? Bo Svensson's office in Butcher Baker, where he's got like whips on the wall and shit.
Yep. You're like, yeah, nothing gay about this.
Yep. So while they talk, the Black Star Ninja gets out of the car, and inside, the two men talk about Joe. Next to a ridiculous portrait of John Wayne, who was a heinous excuse for a human being. Ortega assures the colonel that it's all good. The deal will go off without a hitch. And meanwhile, the Black Star Ninja sneaks into Patricia's room and ninja punches her in the neck.
Yep.
Then he injects her with ninja poison or something.
And there's an extremely bizarre, I don't know if it's a camera trick or what, but like when he injects her with it, it just looks super weird. Like it looks like he's stabbing a dummy in the neck.
Right. Downstairs, Ortega reminds the colonel what's at stake. If he doesn't sell these missiles, the good capitalist people of whatever nation the missiles are going to will fall to the dastardly ways of the Soviet Union. And from there, it's a domino chain of communism spreading across the world.
Quote, without this shipment, their country could fall to the communists, end quote.
Right.
It's like they're punching all the right buttons and keywords, but they don't really know why or what they mean.
We were up to our asses in Central America at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The colonel wants out, though. This has gone too far. Ortega won't stop it, though. He stands to make too much money, so he conspires to out the colonel to his daughter and not, the army.
Except he already kidnapped her, so... What's the point?
Yeah, so the colonel...
It's kind of a toothless threat.
The colonel punches him in the face and kicks him out.
Mm-hmm.
So Ortega goes back to his compound with Patricia as leverage. Joe's already there, though, and he jumps down on the guards doing American ninja shit to them, punching one right in the dick.
Yep.
And he sneaks all up on the base, knocking out the guards, and is grabbed by Shinyuki, who pulls him into his room and helps him remember his past. So,
but the most fucking bizarre cutaway.
This Shinyuki apparently found him in the jungle when he was a baby.
Yep,
like
he was a baby,
Tarzan?
and he says, I taught you that when you were 6. And then they show us a child who is, I'm gonna say, 12 or 13 years old.
Right. I am uncomfortable with what this child is wearing as well.
Because he's got on one of those Japanese, what he's wearing is, I can't remember what they're called. I have one. It's like what you'd wear if you're hanging around at home. It's like loungewear, kind of a diaper.
You've got one?
I do. I have my old advisor was Japanese. She was from Japan, and she brought one for me once.
Okay. So this sort of makes sense because it's like in those scenes in Lone Wolf and Cub when Ogami and Daigo Oro are at the hot springs and shit.
Yeah,
they basically just wearing this diaper.
Yeah, it's like you're hanging out at home in your boxer shorts kind of thing.
Okay.
But it is a very odd, the way that you wear it, you have to sort of wrap it like a diaper.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little thongish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, taught him to be a ninja until he was maybe 10 or something when some white people blew up some dynamite that separated them.
What?
It's all very dubious.
That is literally the explanation is then the explosion and then that's it.
That's it. I have no idea how any of this works. No idea. Don't care.
They have fully given up at this point. They're like, it doesn't fucking matter. Keep it rolling.
Keep it moving. Keeping it moving, Fake.
Celluloid's expensive. Let's wrap this up.
So the engineers took Joe back to America where he forgot everything. So now Shinyuki outfits Joe with a ninja suit and some sweet weapons, naming each one of them so you can remember to order them out of Ninja Magazine later on when you go home.
Out of the back of Fangoria.
Then he teaches him some sweet ninja hand gestures, which are magical mudras that do sweet ninja shit.
This is the dumbest shit ever. But to every 10-year-old, they're like, yes.
Oh, fuck yeah. As soon as he started doing the hand stuff, I was like, oh, it's on. This is going to be so great.
They don't teach you any of this in Boys Life magazine.
Fuck no. So Joe swears to kill the Black Star Ninja and heads out to do ninja stuff. So next day, the missiles arrive at the compound and a helicopter shows up to drop off the buyers. Ortega counts the money. The buyers go and check out the missile launchers, but Joe is there to stop them in a sweet ninja suit. Shoots an arrow at Ortega, but the Black Star catches it. And then everybody starts shooting at Joe, but nobody hits.
And then Joe snaps his bow in half.
Why? Dude, you might need
that
that
weapon.
later.
What are you doing?
Oh, it's still got more arrows, right?
He's so reactionary.
I know. But nobody hits him because, again, these armed guards have clearly never handled a rifle before.
Nope.
They bring out Patricia.
Well, also, if they did hit him, that would effectively be the end of the movie.
They bring out Patricia to lure him out, and he comes flying out of the bushes with his sai, ready to fight. They're going to kill Patricia, so he throws them down. And then the ninjas attack, but there's some sudden ninja smoke, and Shinyuki appears at Joe's back.
And you're going to know that it's him because he's wearing red palazzo pants.
You got to be able to pick him out of a crowd because there's a lot of black ninjas. And then they throw down.
It's basically, if not, it would just be like white guys in every late 90s movie. And I'm just like, I can't tell one from the other. Right. Put him in a red palazzo pant, otherwise I won't know who he is.
I know. Ninjas are freaking out, and the two dudes just lay waste to him. So when they get to the last ninja, Shinyuki does some of that ninja mudra stuff, and he turns invisible.
Yeah, ninja magic.
I loved it. I fucking love it. And then Black Star Ninja throws a knife at Joe, and then Shin Yuki appears in a cloud of ninja smoke to intercept the knife and gets stabbed to death for his trouble. Now now they've done it.
I was waiting for the father moment, but no.
Boy, that would have been awesome. Joe's about to do his thing when Jackson suddenly arrives with the cavalry.
Yep.
Joe chases the Black Star Ninja while Jackson and the army just hose the guards down with machine guns.
And this is the moment where I realized, like, oh, there's a bunch of people in this movie who had like really elaborate backstories. Because there's the one guy driving the truck who's like, "Hang on, Curtis, I'm taking this bitch uptown."
That's Charlie, the driver, the hacky sack guy.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was a different guy.
Right, because he kind of became like the weaselly, funny sidekick guy eventually.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah, I know. The colonel is also there, like he wasn't in on this shit the whole time. I guess we're going to forget about that, or it's fine that he was selling missiles to shady arms dealers because they were going to Central American Contras.
See, that's the interesting part about this is like the way that they frame the colonel is like, hey, he thought he was doing the right thing. And it's like, no, man, that is under no condition. Is that the right thing to do?
If we don't put these missiles in the hands of a junta, the Soviets will win. Those Contras are depending on us.
That's right.
Or those brutal South American mercenaries.
And hey, Reagan forgot all about it. Never even knew.
Didn't know. No clue. Sorry, Oliver North.
Someone had to go down for it.
Somebody had to go down for it. And then here's the thing, is I guarantee that Ronald Reagan definitely forgot about it.
Yeah, no, he did. He definitely did. And Oliver North was a piece of shit, so who
knew
cares?
About it, but he forgot about it for sure. 'Cause his brain didn't work.
You know who didn't, though? George Bush.
Nope. Mr. CIA himself.
Yep.
Yep. It's a real James Bond ending with guns going off and bad guys getting killed.
My favorite part is when he's Dudikoff is chasing the Black Star Ninja through the bladed things, and it's like, dude, you could just go around that.
Oh, I know. Meanwhile, Joe and the Black Star fight with ninja weapons on the training ground. Jackson even gets some punches in with a big Filipino guard who beats him by crushing his testicles and throwing him into a wall. Black Star Ninja, meanwhile, has some crazy hidden weapons. He's got a flamethrower hidden in his sleeve and almost burns the rope that Joe's climbing up.
Yeah, this thing is a real Chekhov's Pee-wee obstacle course is what this turns out to be.
This is like the world's deadliest cheese factory at Chuck E. Cheese. He's also got some hidden guns in his sleeve and tries to shoot Joe, but it's no use.
It's like, what if Double Dare was violent?
What if you could actually die at Legends of the Hidden Temple? Dude's an American ninja and he's too quick. Joe almost gets him with some ninja stars, but then he ninja smokes away. When things get too hot, the arms buyers decide to kick it and head for the helicopter, but Ortega shoots them and decides to take it and Patricia. Jackson, meanwhile, punches another guy in the dick.
Looking badass, though. Like, he's got, at this point, shirt off. He's got a gigantic gun.
Yeah, he's glistening with an M60. There's more ninja fighting. Black Star Ninja has a fucking laser hidden in his sleeve. When that moment happened, I was ecstatic. It was the most rapturous moment of the movie.
I saw it come out and I was like, oh no. No.
Yep. Then they have a big sword fight in the fountain. That's actually pretty impressive for an action movie made by Americans.
I wondered, why are they fighting in the koi pond?
Because it's like awesome.
It's like the fight in Sword of Vengeance, but sad and cheap.
If you considered that it's fucking rad.
It would be if they weren't like ankle deep in water.
So yeah, Joe gets the better of Black Star and he kills the shit out of him. And then away goes the helicopter.
Well, you forgot that they killed the Colonel.
Oh, that's right. The Colonel
because he shouts out to him and he goes, "Now listen to me, Colonial." And I thought,
it's like when British people say lieutenant, they call him lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe runs up on the helicopter, manages to catch the landing arm as it takes off. Ortega tries to shoot him, but he's too quick. He actually pulls his gun out of his hand with his feet.
I like that he was like holding the helicopter for the other guy. Like, that's nice. Because the guy goes to leave and he's like, hold the helicopter for the ninja. Yeah. Holding it for his friend.
Yep. So they fight perilously close to falling off, but not much happens. Joe grabs Patricia and leaps to the roof below. And then Jackson grabs one of the Stinger missiles from the truck.
Now, leaps to the roof below And it is the most obvious pillow. Like, it is such a pillowy roof.
You can see the stunt bags in this movie. Like in that scene where he does the motorcycle jump and it lands, like he obviously lands on a buried bag. It still looks very painful, but like you can see the fucking thing give way. Jackson grabs a Stinger missile from the truck, shoots the helicopter, killing Ortega.
Yep. My note says the real star of the 1980s, a rocket launcher.
I mean, shit, it kind of turned the tide in Afghanistan for the Mujahideen, so fucking I guess so.
Well, then we left them all there, so.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then he drops her off the roof like a fucking sack of potatoes.
He peels off his mask and dramatically scowls into the middle distance.
The only thing missing from this ending is a big thumbs up.
And we helicopter shot away and roll credits, baby.
My last note is America #1.
A-OK.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It is such a fucking dumb movie. It is so stupid. But
it is goofy as hell.
Enjoyed every moment of it.
Okay, so listen, as a knockoff action movie that you would put on in the background and like occasionally check on when you look up from your phone, this one's pretty good. It's fun and you could definitely do worse. But like as a Rambo or like big 80s action movie contender, it is a colossal failure.
It is. It's honest. It's the thing is that the scale is too small to compete.
Well, the scale is too small and everything is too vague. Like they're so non-specific where you're like the protagonist isn't particularly memorable or really that likable. The romantic interest is obnoxious. The villains, it's unclear who they are or why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The best thing about it is Steve James. He's not in it enough.
I know he's definitely not. I would watch an entire Steve James action.
Oh, but they took that note because, let's you know a little secret. I watched the second one. And he's definitely, I'm going to say, maybe not an equal co-star, but pretty close.
He is prominent in American Ninja 3.
Yeah, because he's the only one left.
Right.
Because Steve James, no qualms about playing Sun City. No. Unfortunately.
No, fucking, but it is a huge, dumb, stupid action movie. And fucking I love it to death. I think it's so funny and incredibly ridiculous and just patently cheap. Made so quickly with very vague, with the only intention was just like make another fucking ninja movie, but this time with a guy.
Well, it just has that feeling that a lot of Italian movies have where it's like they only vaguely understand what they're doing. Like the political context of this, like circumstances of everything, where they're just like, hey, America, they're funding all this shit. Like, yeah, that. It's, they like ninjas too. Put that in there too.
Love ninjas, hate commies.
Where it's like, we'll make a movie. It'll be in the Bronx. The Bronx is terrible, right? So what do they got? They got gangs. All right, put some gangs in there. Maybe one of them's a bunch of mimes and they dance. Why not? It's like shit like that. I love that so much. I know it's a little bit condescending to say that, but like, I love it when they're like, they don't quite understand it, but they just go for it. Oh, yeah, gusto.
Yeah. You just had this experience with The Last Match, which is a movie made by Europeans about an American football team. Yeah. And they don't really understand football in Italy.
I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic film.
Yeah. Yeah. Also features an exploding helicopter with one of the most memorable destructions of all time. Yep. Oh boy. Yeah. Stupid action movies are
they're just fun. It's just fun to watch.
It's fun. It's silly. It's, I don't know. Definitely not among my favorites, but I could see myself putting this on just to have some noise in the background.
Well, that's why when I went onto Amazon to watch it, because I was like, I looked for it on the thing and it was like, play again. And I was like, again? I've seen this?
Yeah, Michael had to remind you that you have watched this.
He was just like, yeah, and not that long ago. I was like, okay. That's a little alarming, but okay.
All right, American Ninja. You get a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I'll give it an all right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, are we done with ninja swords? Are we done with sword fighting? What's next?
Well, so bring me the axe next week. We're gonna do a highbrow with Ingmar Bergman's unsettling rumination on art and identity. That is Hour of the Wolf.
Yep.
But then we're gonna be declassing the place a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
I guess in 2
we're taking
weeks.
it down. Not quite as low as American Ninja.
We're coming back with the iconic, for some reason, sci-fi fantasy Highlander.
Yep.
A movie that I don't think I've seen since the 80s.
I have not watched it in a very, very, very long time. It was probably the early 90s was probably the last time that I watched that movie. And like it, love it or hate it, it has got a fucking awesome soundtrack.
That it does.
Yep.
That it does.
Yep. We're gonna talk Sean Connery, probably do
Why Sean Connery is a bad person.
probably do some impressions. We got Clancy Brown, we got Christopher Lambert, and fucking in a soundtrack by fucking Queen.
Yep.
So yeah,
There can be only one.
that's right. So and somehow they made like fucking 3 sequels and a TV series. So
Yep.
yeah, be back here in a week as we get real serious with it with Ingmar Bergman's Hour of the Wolf, and then be back in 2 weeks as we chop heads off with Highlander.
Very seriously.